Microsoft has always been at the forefront of innovations when it comes to technology and features in their Xbox consoles. Even with the original Xbox that launched 20 years ago, they innovated with DirectX support, a built-in hard drive and online gaming. In later generations, they introduced, for instance, an achievement system and other things. But what we have seen over the last couple of years from Microsoft is something unprecedented. They literally changed the way how console gaming works, how we perceive, play and judge gaming and value in gaming. And in today's video we discuss how Microsoft revolutionized the console gaming world via things like backward compatibility, a unified ecosystem of console, PC and cloud, ease of access via smart delivery and cloud save files, and of course Game Pass. We will also discuss where they take console gaming in the future and why gamers of all platforms benefit from these changes of the console gaming space. Hello gamers from around the world, this is Archimedes, the video game enthusiast from Germany, with a thought-provoking video on how Microsoft has changed console gaming. But before we dive into this complex topic, you should treat yourself and set your player to full 4K 60 FPS to get the best audio-visual experience I can deliver to you. And while you are at it, please consider to hit the like and subscribe button and maybe even turn on the notification bell to not miss out on future content, because in case you enjoy yourself while watching this video, I would greatly appreciate your support. But now let's talk about how Microsoft changed the console gaming business with their ecosystem approach to gaming over the last couple of years. To really understand the motivation of Microsoft and what I mean by Xbox changing the way how the gaming industry works in the console space, we probably should go back into the year 2013 when Sony and Microsoft launched the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One respectively. The launch didn't go too well for Microsoft. They tried to innovate with Kinect and the console being a multimedia device for TV and other things that basically every smart TV can handle. This put Microsoft in a position where they had to realize that they can't compete with Sony in the traditional console business environment, and so when Phil Spencer took over the Xbox division, he had a vision for it, and with that vision he and the team at Microsoft changed the console gaming world. And it all started in 2015 with the announcement of backward compatibility. Sure, consoles had backward compatibility before, let's remember the launch of the PS3, but that feature got scrapped in a later iteration of the console and never really took off. Microsoft took backward compatibility on consoles to another level. Not only did they now support Xbox 360 games on the Xbox One, and a little bit later they added the support of the OG Xbox games, but all these games ran on the Xbox One and later the Xbox One X automatically better than ever before. Higher anisotropic filtering and higher resolutions resulted in way higher image quality. This was unprecedented in console gaming, and it was the start of something that really defined the switch to the next generation when the Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5 launched. Microsoft took backward compatibility yet again to another level. They introduced Auto HDR and added a wider color gamut and better contrasts to games that did not natively support it. They also added a magic called frame rate boost to backward compatible games, where games that natively run at 30 FPS got an improvement to 60 or even 120 frames per second. And with that top-notch backward compatibility, Microsoft blurred the lines of console generations. It wasn't the case like in previous generations where you had to put aside your old controllers and games, and with that they introduced a new discussion in the console gaming space, and that is the approach of cross generations, where old and new generation hardware is supported by games for a couple of years. And Microsoft got quite a lot of critique for it when they introduced it, but obviously they hit the zeitgeist because their biggest competitor Sony quickly tried to adapt this approach of cross generation. And with their cloud technology, they even circumvent the necessity of gamers to adapt to the next generation of consoles. Since games will be available via cloud streaming on the Xbox One consoles soon, they will be able to play games like the Microsoft Flight Simulator that can definitely not run on the 2013 hardware. And that brings me to another thing that Microsoft changed in the console gaming space, and that is how success of a platform is measured. For years now, Microsoft stopped reporting on pure console sale numbers because that's not the metric that they need for judging their business model. And that was definitely something new in the console space. And we all know that a certain hardcore fan base of the competitive platform still has their mindset on the old way of measuring success of a platform. And to understand why Xbox stopped telling console sales numbers, we need to step back one second. Over the course of the Xbox One generation, Microsoft has introduced a unified ecosystem in between console, PC and Xcloud. And this was entirely new to the console gaming space. When you buy an Xbox game, you can now also play it on PC without having to buy the game again. Your save files carry over from console to PC and vice versa, and later they added to that ecosystem also the cloud streaming service Xcloud, where the games are computed in the Microsoft data centers and only the image is streamed to your device. With that, Xbox games are now available on basically every device that has a browser. All Android devices, iOS devices, old PCs that cannot run games anymore, your smart refrigerator, your smart lawnmower, and so on. You can play Xbox games on all of these devices, and that is the introduction of an ecosystem. Xbox is not a console anymore, and that's why console sales are not the metric for a healthy business model anymore. It's more about engagement and of course Game Pass subscribers. And that brings me to probably the biggest change in the gaming industry over the last decade, and that was the introduction of Game Pass. When the service was introduced in 2017, it was still in its infancy, but the growth has been tremendous. With the introduction of Game Pass, Microsoft introduced the Netflix of gaming. Sure, there were other subscription services before like EA Access, but those kind of services never really took off, and that's because they didn't provide the same value than Microsoft did. Soon after they launched Game Pass, they introduced that all Microsoft first-party games will come on their respective launch day into their subscription service, and with that they introduced an unprecedented value in gaming. The value of Game Pass only grew over time when more and more developers and publishers realized that a subscription service, and with that a higher player count and more exposure of the game via viral marketing, can be healthy for their game and their business model. And that's why we have seen more and more higher profile games coming soon after launch or even on day one at launch into Game Pass. Just this year, for instance, we got the release of Outriders and MLB The Show into the subscription service. And since Game Pass provides now access to over 350 games for only $10 or $15 or euros respectively per month, I see that gamers perceive the value in gaming differently now. This discussion came really up when Sony increased game prices from $60 to $70 or 70 to 80 euros respectively. I've seen the discussion out there where gamers, including myself, now start to judge games' value differently. More and more often gamers ask the question, is that game worth the purchase at day one, when I get on the other hand more and more games in the subscription service where I don't have to pay for them in order to play them. And starting in only a few days, Microsoft will bring more and more games on a monthly basis exclusively into the Xbox ecosystem, and with that they increase the value of the subscription service even further. And another thing that changed since the introduction of Game Pass is how they handle exclusive deals with third-party publishers. Basically ever since the console space existed, third-party exclusive deals with publishers have been made to bring exclusive games to a certain platform. And with Game Pass, Microsoft changed that narrative completely, because now they seem to not invest into bringing games exclusively to their platform, but they invest to bring games day one into Game Pass. And for me as a gamer, the value there is significantly higher than with exclusivity of a game, cause I don't have a benefit if Microsoft pays a certain publisher to not bring a game to another platform, but I as a gamer do have an additional value if the game comes day one into Game Pass and I don't have to buy it. And this is why Game Pass changed a lot in the gaming landscape, especially when we think about value in gaming. Well, and the last point that I want to bring up in this video is about something that Xbox introduced in the console gaming space, and that is convenience. And what do I mean by that? When Microsoft announced the Xbox Series X and S, they explained their approach to cross-generation and talked a lot about things like smart delivery and automated cloud save files. While at the time a lot of mainstream media sites and fanboys out there labeled things like smart delivery as marketing phrases, the benefit that is delivered to gamers via that feature is now more obvious than ever before. When you buy a game on the Xbox One and then move over to the Xbox Series X or S and download the game on that system, the game simply downloads the respective Series X or Series S version and just works. Same goes for your save files, because all your save files are automatically stored in the cloud and are synced with your profile. And the launch of the current generation of consoles really has shown what happens when a platform holder does not invest in that kind of features. Moving over your save files from a PS4 to a PS5 can be really troublesome. When you want to download a PS4 game on your PS5, you have to make sure you select the right version in the store, etc, etc. While this is definitely not a reason to not invest in the PlayStation, it just shows how much Microsoft has done on their back end over the course of the last years to make the gaming experience in the Xbox ecosystem seamless, convenient and more valuable than ever before. But with that, I want to wrap it it up. About a year ago, I covered a very similar topic in one of my videos, and this video is basically the follow-up to see how things turned out. Because a lot of these things like backward compatibility, smart delivery, the unified ecosystem, and even Game Pass were not judged fair when they were announced by a lot of mainstream media sites and a certain fan base. But over the last months, a lot of gamers came to realize how much value there is right now in the ecosystem that is Xbox. It's easy and convenient to use, stuff just works, and they provide, especially with Game Pass, more value to gamers than ever before. And that's why Microsoft has introduced a significant change in how we judge value and quality of life in gaming in the console landscape. And since competition is what drives the industry forward, gamers of all platforms should appreciate these kind of changes, because we will see over the course of the next years a lot of other platform holders to adapt to this gamer-friendly approach. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button as well as the notification bell. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can become a channel member and get early access to my videos and custom-made badges and emojis. And let me thank those who are already members. I'm truly humbled by your support. But now, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about the changes in the gaming industry? Are you excited about the Xbox ecosystem? And besides here on YouTube, you can also hit me up on Twitter, where I share a lot of opinions and gaming discussions. But for now, thank you very much for watching, I see you the next time, and game on!